This is my intelligence build. Her name is Judicator Yurie. It's supposed to be like the second elemental Judicator. The first one was Aiden, who's like a lightning and like, you know, faith build. This is a intelligence build that doesn't fire off spells. My like idea for this build was that it would be a like a Bloodborne kind of like Arcane build, except instead of Arcane, I'm using intelligence. In Bloodborne, there's this scholar named Yurie who sits in Bergenworth and uses Arcane to just absolutely destroy any new players who come through there. So I had that kind of the same idea. This would be like a knight scholar that uses intelligence with like Bloodborne-esque weapons, like the Aquamarine dagger. So in terms of Bloodborne-esque weapons, I'm using the Greatsword of Judgment instead of something like the Moonlight Greatsword or a crystal-infused claymore, mostly because this weapon can outdamage them when buffed, and you buff this weapon by attacking, which is something I love. Now you can either buff it by doing this like lunging thrust, or you can buff it by this like using this shockwave. Now the shockwave is nice because a lot of people try to roll like through it, which just gets them hit with both the sword and the shockwave at the same time, which does a whole fuckload of damage. But anyways, my point of using this weapon is to stay aggressive in fights. One thing I hate the most about duels in this game is passivity, which is why I have a aggressive greatsword followed up with something like the Aquamarine dagger, which lets me chase down opponents pretty fast. But anywho, part of Yurie's duties as is like, you know, highborn Yharnam Knight Scholar is to keep the illiterate peasants out of the Grand Archives. You know, she really doesn't appreciate them wandering around and trying to summon their peasant buddies to do some sort of Iron Pineapple-esque meme video. And just to be as obnoxiously edgy as possible, I like to pull out the Aquamarine dagger and edgewalk out of the invasion. But that's enough killing solo hosts for now. It's time to take on just the worst gang squad of all time. Well, they're not really a gang squad, it's literally just a pretty inexperienced player trying to take on the level, but his phantoms are dumb as hell. That guy never heals. He has like two vigor and never heals the entire fight. You know, I thought this was going to be like a pretty hard gank to beat because they have a Pyromancer and they have someone casting Crystal Soul Spear at me. So I have high expectations, but they really fall flat. He hits me once with a Pyromancer. That's the only spell I get hit with, and the monk immediately heals me up. The host decides now would be a great time to pick up an item and pays for it. The Gold Phantom still hasn't healed, so I'm going to go up and hit them once, and they die. This blue is probably the smartest Phantom in this whole little crew. Buffs their weapon, but then decides to block once I hit him with the Dual Charm, which ensures that their Katana is now going to do all of 5 damage. They also only put 5 points into their Vigor, so they die. The host is now just hitting me with L1, which is just his bare fist because he never bothered to properly equip his claws, and is now going to run for his life while I do a really stupid jump roll. Now the Aquamarine dagger I primarily use as like a chase down weapon to finish out invasions. However, a lot of hosts kind of realize that and try to heal on me. But even then, the Aquamarine dagger does good enough damage that it can even whittle away, like, you know, it can properly heal punish. I think it was Dang It JM who made a couple videos on the Aquamarine dagger and how it can hold its own in duels, and it works even better as like an invasion tool rather than just a sheer invasion weapon. Give this guy a little bit of repair powder, you know, just as a little thank you for a decent but somewhat stupid invasion. And just because I use this as a chase down weapon doesn't mean it can't do dagger-like things, like sweet-ass rolling backstabs. I almost never get those, so I had to show off the one I did get with this dagger. And then the Undead Hunter will wake up and hit him once with the dagger and it's over. I've been playing this character for a while now. This is one of the first characters I made for this game. And the best thing it's taught me with this setup here is greatsword spacing. And I think this is a pretty good demonstration of my skills at this point. I hit him with a dual charm because who wants to take more damage than you need to? but they give me pretty good in a little mini blender. Katana has a lot more range than I ever expected it's going to have. I'm hit him with another dual charm because I didn't have Estus queued up, but I managed to make space for myself and get a heal off. One thing I really like about this character is outspacing someone twice in a row usually means death for them. And you know, that's a pretty good example of it. So now it's just me and the host, but you know, katana spacing once again. So I'm going to take this little space to break off and heal, and they're going to heal up as well. Now I've noticed my opponent likes to roll around me, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw out the first R1, wait for it to expire, turn around and hit another 2 R1s. I'm just going to track him and roll catch him here. He's going to throw out a Hail Parry, but the Aquamarine Dagger is just too fast for that. Now I have a bit of a sad and strange story to tell you here. It's about people who you know, never bother healing, so they're always at low health, and people who think it's a good idea to swing directly into hyper armor with a straight sword. Yeah, that didn't work out too well for you, Emily. So shortly after, we invade the world of a very lore-friendly character. Yurie doesn't take too kindly to racists, but what is more likely here is just some edgy 13-year-old, so we're going to slap on that obscuring ring and go head him down. So I tracked down the host. Standing out in the open, we're going to exchange magical shockwaves, and then get to fighting. He knows what he's doing. He's using a greatsword two-handed, which is the only way he gets any hyper armor. I hear a blue coming in behind me, so I'm not going to just stick around in an open area. Blue's actually below me, so I'm going to go try to engage the host once more. But you know, I'm not going to swing directly into two-handed greatsword hyper armor. In typical blue sentinel fashion, this blue is just going to charge in with absolutely zero regard for what enemies are around me or what I'm using. Gets his guard broken, but the host is wily and saves him from a riposte. I take my eyes off the host here, and he makes me pay for it by landing a nice little plunge attack on me. But you know, here comes that blue, just charging right in. Not a care in the world about his own health. After outspacing the blue here, I'm going to swing 3 times. So that third time he's up against the wall and doesn't have a whole lot of room to roll, and it's going to be a roll catch. So the host is in a pretty bad position here and is about to make a trade that gets him killed. But look who shows up right at the end. It's Emily. An earlier invasion. Do you think maybe she's learned something about swinging into hyper armor with just a straight sword, with no health left? I mean, were you really expecting anything else from a blue? Thanks for watching, guys. Here's the build. It's this mix of intelligence and physical stats, so I can use a lot of different tools and infuse them with crystal. It's a soul level 75, so I'm invading with +8/+4 weapons. Grand Archives, Lothar Castle, those kind of areas. So if you're around those levels, look out for this Bloodborne character running around Dark Souls 3. See you around, guys.